Hey people, I'm going to read this ancient English poetry fast. And this is ancient English in a Hebrew writing style. The Hebrew language was invented in the 20th century, and it was just to keep people stupid. I'll come back and touch on some of these words, and to understand how and why I'm reading this with this punctuation, you can go back a couple movies and see why, or I read the first couple lines in the last movie. And a lot of these words, letters and words, they look the same, but there'll be small punctuation dots that change the letters from a TH to a D. And I'll touch a little bit on that when I'm done. The very felt bend with, wood milk by rustles from, evil the vellum Rama felt, evil the vellum the cleave of. Manner tight run, lads in call, Willem a mill to see 'em of, that the smashes, there the like to door in where it's of owls amid it. Was rich this smashes hubba, this smashes volume of 'em fume to, swaps a rich who says, the walk of Murtherus use of in, Lanu puts its spoon savin, in views and up its love in us, and mirth locale vesavin, the walker which to all wit in I've survived to, savor which call mile in Nile is, the lackeys lamy his, and they is when in nigh mull all of 'em fuse, senile is the lackeys, says this Chevy sell it cut. Clamor in death of her is, ego is. Lo, look who took classy of dibber. Lo, a best is booing of rot, will allum to Mullins from summer. Me eyes see ya who see I, and me has honest nose, who see whose vain classed heads that the smashes, is if ever see yammer ray these heads, who cover eye of all 'em is, raise eye mullappin new, nigh his crown of ration is, and goes low horn is. See who low they eye ya less the crown as, see they too latch rein. So if you check out an old Phoenician letter meaning chart, the letters used to be drawn as the pictures. It gives a better idea of what the letters mean, and it blends right in with the Hebrew. You can check out these old evolution charts, and this is good, the old Phoenician into the old, what they call Paleo Hebrew, and it blends right in with the newer Hebrew, and there's some mistakes in the rest of this. But if you study with the pictures first, it'll give you a better idea. So the very felt to bend with, it's changing times, variable, changing. Just like now, times are changing, you got to bend with the times. The very felt, feeling the difference, the bend with. Would milk, the mill give. From bind give is what comes after. By rustles, by takes from. Evil the veil is, evil the vellum, the skin to see and felt. Evil the skin, the cleave of, the L is of, the cleave, a cleaver to cut it of. And the manor tight run, the manor is, this homestead. The manor tight run lads. In call Willem a mill. A mill, is a place where you grind your grain, a mill to see a mill. That the smashes, that's what you're doing, you're smashing the grain. And there, this looks like a D-U-R, a door, and a door. But this little dot makes this a T-H. And it's, duh, through where, through where? There. There, the like a door in. B is in, the house. A door in where it's, W-A-R-T-S, where it's of owls, O-W-L-S, where it's of owls amid it. The owls are guarding the door. The door amid it is owls. The owls were on all the old money, guarding the door. And it was this old ancient Egyptian letter M, of owls, O-W-L, and this is a final M, so it's pronounced an S. But it's the owl from, the owls from the money, from the owls amid it, standing in the middle, amid it. And so, but the earth forever abides, the where it's of owls amid it. Whatever the owls say, the earth will forever abide. Money talks, bullshit walks. Use rich, U-Z-R-H, rich, Use riches, E-S, and two S's here, same as here, E-S, S-M-S. Use riches, smash of, hubba hubba, and goes down, hubba hubba. And use riches, smash of, this smash, volume, U-M, V-A-L-U-M, the volume of them fume to, most of them rise to. Usually they'll say this fume is rise. Most of them fume to swap, to change over, to swaps. A rich who says, to swap Z is, apostrophe S, the swaps, a rich who says, and then the walk of death, the WLK, the walk, and anything start with the A reads backwards, and so the L, just like the BA is of UV, or just the B is in, and so just, the LA is of, the walk of Murtherus. And so mirth, is death and destruction. Toys R Us and murder us. The mirth, the death and destruction are us. And it's a play on the old god Mithras. The walk of Mither, the Murtherus. Mithras is the Iranian god of the sun, justice, contract, and war. And the walk of Murtherus, Usavin, U-S-U-V-V, the N V or B is in. The Usavin. Lanu puts spoons of in. L-A-N-U-P-T-S-P-U-N-S. Put spoons, U-V, of in. And so Lanu is old English word for the lane, the road. The walk of Murtherus. Usavin. The lane puts the spoons of in. The spoons of in. And the spoon, is an ancient compass. It points toward the north. That's where that comes from. But Lanu, is old English. Lanu, a lane, a passageway. the road north, the walk of Murtherus, the use of in, the Lanu, the lane puts spoons of in views, in seas, BNVUS, in views in uppits, NUPTS, in views in uppits, of in views to mirth, locale, LOKL, the place, the locale, VESV, vesavin. To ves is to fill. The mirth, the death and destruction, locale, ves, to fill of in. The walker which, to all wit in I've survive. The walker, to all wit in I've survive. All my wits, in I've survive. SVIV, survive. Usually they say survive is subib, means surrounding, but it means, the ones that's still alive, the ones surrounding. The ones that died on the walk, they're back there somewhere. But the ones that survive are around. The walk of Murtherus, use of in, lane puts its spoons of in views in uppits, of in views to mirth, locale, death and destruction of the locale, vesvin, fill of in. The walker which to all wit, the smart one, in I've survived to savor which. Call mile on Enile is, the lackeys lami they is. And so the call the mile on Enile is, the call the mile on the number, how many miles you went. Enile is, the death is. The lackeys, and this is your word for angels, is lackeys. It's the ones that couldn't fight, they were the lackeys, they're your runners. And so, the angels is usually lackeys, from lackeys. And so it's not angels, it means lackeys, it means the ones that can't hang, the ones dying. And the call, the mile in Enile is, the lackeys lami they is, Lamy, and then E is THEY, they is, lami they is. And so lami is delicious, pleasing, appealing, and they're starving to death and they're ready to eat. The call, the mile in Nile is, the lackeys lami, the lackeys are looking, the ones who can't hang, they're dying off. Oh, they're looking delicious. They're ready to start eating them. Way is when in nigh, as in like deny when in nigh. When in nigh, mal, full. This comes from your word tamale. The when in nigh male. And so male is the one that's going to fill. You have a socket and a plug. A plug is the male, and it's the one that fills the socket. So it's not necessarily full, but it's the one that fills. The way is when in nigh, the fill of lam, la, of with fuse. The fill of with fuse. Fuse, QUM. The final M is an S, and it's the center connected from. When you're welding, you fuse something together. You try to get your weld to go all the way to the center. And so the way is when in nigh fill, when in not full, when in not fill, of with fuse. The ones that's going to do the filling for you. Senile, SCNILE, E-L-I-S. Senile is the lackeys, the old lackeys. Senile is the lackeys, says this Chevy cell cut. Chevy's is the God that is with you, and it means the sword on your side. The Chevy cell. What's the Chevy cell? It sells a cut. The Chevy cell cut. And so I'm reading this, the clamor in death of her is. And it's words like this that help me figure out what this braille on the bottom means. You see how it's different under this D as it was before. And it makes me think that it reads two different ways, the dot. And so I'm reading this, the clamor, everybody talking at once, and then E, B, N. And so I'm reading this as a D, E, and then back this way is the TH, the death of her is, to kill the noise. The clamor in death of her is ego is low. There's a low ego. Ego is what, when somebody describes herself, they're describing their ego. It's what drives them. The clamor and death of her ego is low. Like who class y'all dibber low. Like who, Y, W-Y is Y, means who. And to, like who to class y'all, S-Y-A-L, y'all dibber. And so dibber, they say it, I always give it something around the meaning of word or something like that. But a dibber is a little tool used to plant seed. Got numbers on it. Tell you how deep you're planting your seed. A dabber. And so the clamor in death of her is ego is low. When the ego is low, like who to class y'all dibber low. You're dibbering the low class. Best is booing of rot. At best is booing. And it's going to be, that's the best, and it's going to be worst. Of rot, L-R-A-U-T, rot. Rot is something that's hammered into shape, wrought iron. It makes it strong. Of rot, to shape it. Will allum to maul ends, the tamale. Will allum to male. Will allum to maulins. And so, A-Z-N backwards, N-Z-A, ends, is that type of people. Will all from to maulins, that type of people that will fill. Miss Schmo. Miss Schmo. A schmo is a stupid person and jerk. And so he's kind of twisting the words so you can read it a couple different ways here. But what he's talking about, the lami they is, lami is delicious, as in good to eat, but also sexually. And so me eyes, a little dot in the S at the bottom tells you to read this S twice. So it's E-Y-E-S, and then the S-E-Y-E. Me eyes see you who see I. I see who's watching me. Me eyes see you who see I. In me the sun shine knows. The little dot in the N has you read it twice, so it's E-S-O-N and then S-H-N-N-O-S-E. And me the sunshine knows who. The see who's vain, empty. To wane is when the moon passes its prime, it's full moon and it's waning, it's getting smaller. Into vain, is emptying out. So the W or the V, the same letter. And so if there was a dot in the N here, it would read the N twice, would be veining or waning. And so you see it's the Naya backwards, the N-Y-A, not, Naya, empty, vain. And me eyes see ya who see I. And me the sun shine nose, who see who's vain, who's empty, clashed heads that this smash. Is it ever, the dot and the T makes us the THISTHVR. Is it ever see yammer? The C with a word. Is it ever see talk, see word? Everything with a ammer, they'll give it a type of word. A whammer, lammer, yammer. Is it ever see yammer? Res, R-A-E. A-E is ash. And so you replace it with a E-S. Is it ever see yammer rest? Will it ever shut up? These heads, backwards and forwards, E-Z-E, T-H-E-Z-E. These heads. Is it ever see yammer rest? These heads. Who cover eye of all miss? You cover, CVR, cover your eyes, and of all miss, you won't see it. Of all miss, raise eye from lapping new. Raise eye from of lap in new. And from lapping new means I've raised you since you was a baby. The raise eye from lapping new. From since you was a baby on my lap, I've knowed you. Nigh is crown of ration is, and goes low horn is. See they will, they eye less. The crown as see they will adhering, adhering, you would adhere to what the crown says. Denies the crown of ration is. The crown is the head, where your thought comes from. Denies the crown of ration is. You have no more rationing powers. And goes of arraigns. See they will, they eye ye less. The crown as see they will a hearing. And so it's talking about many things here, and it's talking about your crown chakra and all that dibbering that you're doing. All that dibbering, you're losing energy and you don't light your crown chakra. And it's also talking about the sun and the moon. And so the old march of death, has different meanings now. And it all points in one direction when you start, and you have to read to the end of the poem and then go back and see what it was really talking about. And this owl's here, that's where the hooty hoo comes from. Where it's of owls omitted. There, the lack to door in where it's of owls omitted. Hooty hoo.
Don't forget. Hooty hoo, hooty hoo. I won't forget.
Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.